time to kick ass and chew bubble gum. And I'm all out of gum.
Hello, welcome back to A Boring Revolution, your number one news source for everything in regards to the Boring Company. Today's video is a deep dive on the San Antonio Loop. I believe this is a very important project for the Boring Company. All projects are important, but I just specifically think this particular city has all the right ingredients to make a perfect mass transit system. There's not a lot going on in San Antonio in terms of competition, so it's free and open, as it were. So there's a possibility that this may start in 2022. It's probably going to be 2023. Who knows? We'll just have to see when we get hold of the plans. I'm looking to get hold of the plans. If you do have the plans, please email me. Please reach out to me on Twitter or Discord, as I'm interested to see what this is going to look like. So let's have a look. So San Antonio, Texas. Texas is going to be a key market for the Boring Company. Not quite as many taxing regulations, as it were, so it's going to make things a little bit easier to operate in this particular region. The same goes for Florida. The same goes for Las Vegas. So San Antonio, why do I like it? Population. 2021. 1.435 million, and that went up from 936,000. So, you know, this is going up at quite a nice rate, around 8.08% per decade. That could go up potentially over the next decade. It is a city that is a desirable place to set up a business or to live and raise a family. So it's located 72 miles southwest of Austin, 189 miles east of Houston. So it's at the perfect location in the triangle between those two cities. That, I think, will play an important role in the future expansion of the Boring Company. I'll explain to you later on. Key landmarks. So what's, you know, kind of interesting in San Antonio? So they've got the San Fernando Cathedral, which is this building here. It's a nice, beautiful building. The Alamo Mission as well, which is this one here. So, you know, it's got a little bit of history, which is interesting for kind of American cities. They generally don't really have too much interesting structures there. So current mass transit infrastructure, they have like basically a bus network, which is basically like a hybrid diesel batteries system. They don't have any kind of light rail systems that kind of interlink the downtown and various suburbs. As cities go, it is possibly the most inadequate mass transit system in the whole of North America. Even Phoenix, which was at one point considered terrible for mass transit, at least they have some kind of light rail system now. Yeah, so let's get into why I'm excited. So Texas is definitely an important market for the Boring Company. We've not mentioned Houston yet, but I'm anticipating we might see something in the next 12 months. Here's San Antonio, number 7 on the list, growing at a lovely rate here. At some point it is going to overtake Philadelphia, I imagine. And then we've got Austin down here at number 11, which is growing at an absolute bonkers pace. I'm unsure if that can continue, but you know, let's hope so. And Fort Worth as well, which is in Texas. Again, that's growing up nicely. And we've got Jacksonville there in Florida, which is another city that might potentially be good for the Boring Company. But the key thing here is this number here. You know, in America, which has lots of big cities, it's right up there with the big boys. Philadelphia, Phoenix, San Diego, you know, right in that kind of population range there. If you kind of look between this kind of range here, it's right in the area you want it to be. So there's potentially lots of customers that could use this, and potentially also willing to pay good rates to use the system. So let's look at the route. So like every other kind of mid-state situated city, it's got its ring roads and it's got, you know, lots of freeways heading out, but it does have an Amtrak service. I believe it does have one daily, and it has one that goes up towards Chicago as well. So it's got some, you know, train links, but not really very much. The airport is located in this area here, and that's what we're going to be looking towards linking up today. So The possible route is going to be 15.56 miles. I'm guessing it might be slightly less than that, but I've kind of overestimated, because better to be above than be below when you're making estimates. It's a twin bore system. Obviously there's going to be a northbound and a southbound tunnel. Both will be built with separate TBMs, hopefully at the same time. In fact, they should be at the same time. You're looking in the region of 91.2 million to bore that tunnel system, to install your road deck, to install ventilation shafts and safety equipment in those tunnels. Things like stations and kind of surface stations, and obviously subgrade stations as well. That's not going to be included in that. But because we don't really know exactly where they're going to put the stations for this system, it's very difficult to estimate. So at the moment, we're just pulling up an estimate for the actual tunnel stage of the build process there. Obviously, if tunnels are below ground, that's going to be substantially more expensive, but they don't need to do that near the airport if they don't want to, but it might be worth them doing that. And I think in the downtown area they probably might have to do that, but again, there are some unique solutions. Maybe you could park the vehicles on surface streets, but that needs to be worked out with the local authority. Here's our route going up there, 15.56 miles. Where do I think so this is my kind of prediction for where I think it's going to run. If they use good common sense, this is the only route they should choose. It's a great route, it's lovely and straight, the number of curves is absolutely minimal. It's dealing with the least number of stakeholders. This is the best route. I don't know exactly where they intend the endpoint to be, so I've just assumed it's here, right in the centre of downtown. It's not really necessary to do that. I mean, they could put it somewhere up here if they really wanted to, which would obviously be beneficial. Maybe you could pick up a plot of land in this area, but it's looking like if it's in this kind of area down here at the bottom, you're going to have to go subterranean there. So the road I have chosen here, it runs a nice straight line right into downtown, very minimal curves, is Broadway, nice wide road. This is going to be easy to dig under. It's going to be lots of records of services and things like that. So I'm not sure if you'd start in downtown or work your way into downtown. You might have a launch pit, or they might do porpoising. I'm not too sure. You might do a launch pit somewhere in this area potentially, and then work south and work north as well. But let's negate to mention that right now, because that's not really too important. We're just going to focus on the route itself. So we're going to go along Broadway, nice and straight, which is perfect. That takes us under the 35 freeway. Again, not very many issues, and we can keep it nice and straight. And then there's this area here, which is a golf course, and there's a forest up here as well in this kind of area. So there's not too many obstructions here. I don't see any issues with potential landowners, certainly for this stretch here. I'd anticipate that the golf course owners would be happy for works to take place underneath them, as long as they are of a significant depth that they don't cause any issues, and they won't cause any issues, and they'll probably get a small fee for doing that. So that's Broadway. We're going to follow Broadway. At this point here, we're going to deviate from Broadway, go underneath Brackenridge Golf Course. Lots of room here. As you can see, the 281 freeway, it's not a good idea to follow this, because there's just too many bends in it. And that ultimately would result in the speed of the system being limited to around 70-80 miles per hour. And I don't think we want to go for that. We want much faster. We want to be in the region of 100 to 120 miles per hour, in that kind of ballpark. So we're going to keep it nice and straight as we go up to here. Minimal curve. The radius of this curve here is going to be at least 300 meters, maybe 400 meters. It's going to go up here, and then we get to this point here. And then the curve here is going to be 200, 300, maybe even 400 meters again. We're going to try and You could potentially curve it a bit more here and do it as such. Again, it's great because you can just go through this here. You're only dealing with one stakeholder in this area here, and then you're under a public right of way. You're underneath Interstate 281 there. Yeah, so once you've gone through this forest area here and the golf course, this is where there is a nice little opportunity waiting for us. There's some kind of retail park here in this area. I'm hopeful that with the car park they would be open to the suggestion of using some of the land there. Most of the buildings are not that tall, so you're not going to be coming into contact with foundations, and even if you thought you might do, you could just go a little bit deeper. So you could easily go 15, 16, 17 meters deep at this point if you really wanted to. Yeah, so let's have a look. So as you can see, I have found, I don't know if you can see it here, a railway line. This railway line is the straightest railway line I've ever seen in the USA, which is incredible because usually they're quite bendy in certain places. But this one is straight as an arrow, and it's just going up here, and it's mainly used for freight, and I guess Amtrak use it occasionally, very rarely. They also would be quite interested probably in letting access underneath the tracks as long as it's deep enough. So you're going to go under here and just follow it along, which is a nice straight line. You don't need to follow 281 for very long, which is you could follow 281, but I think that this route is a bit more direct, as it were, so you're going to have less problems. Okay, so you're following your railway line, and that's taking you up here. It's the straightest railway line I've ever seen, which is perfect. And then we end up in this area here. Here is our airport, by the way. San Antonio International Airport, also known as SAT. As you can see, it has, I believe, 3 runways. The main part of the airport is this kind of area here. I've opted not to go into the airport compound. The reason I've decided to do that is because I want to keep this tunnel as straight as possible to increase the maximum speeds, because that should be the aim of the Boring Company, is getting people from A to Z as quickly as possible. So this plot of land here is empty. Now there might be a very good reason why that's empty, i.e. the ground might be shockingly bad, or it might be owned by someone who doesn't want to sell it. But because it's right next to the airport, it's always worth putting out some feelers and seeing if this person would be willing to sell maybe half or 2/3 of this land here, and then you could build a station here. Now you could definitely and very easily build a station at the surface. You could use porpoising, and that would be all very, very good. But I think if you want this system to be expanded in the future, you should go for a below ground station. Now it doesn't need to be 10 meters below ground, it could be 5 or 6 meters below ground, but then that gives you options for various other things, which I'm going to explain to you in a moment. Also, because I've kept this nice and straight, I'm not in the actual airport area, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a pedestrian tunnel here. So we could do this either via pipe jacking, or maybe using an existing TBM, or maybe even sub that out to Robbins or some other tunneling company. It's only 845 meters. Here's the main kind of building here. You're going underneath this runway here, which is obviously a bit concerning. Now, if you own the airport, you're going to be extremely concerned about people tunneling underneath your runway, especially if it's a busy one. And this is a very, very busy airport. I believe it's like the 6th or 7th busiest in the entire USA. So it's it's a big boy. It's only 845 meters. You can take your time with it, and you can go extra low, especially if this station here is 6.5, 7 meters below grade. What you can do is then you can go down further, and then go underneath. So when you get to this point, maybe you're 12, 15 meters below the surface. So you're not going to have any subsidence here, and then you'd end up here. Now it could either be purely a tunnel, a walking tunnel divided in two, or you could potentially have some kind of motorized system that moves people down there. That's possible. Maybe you could do that. I mean, it seems a little bit excessive to me. But yeah, you could have a travelator there, but you might need to increase the diameter of the tunnel. So this is the kind of main route. As you can see, it is absolutely laser straight. It's just, there's so many things line up that are perfect in terms of the railway line and where the freeways are and where this park is, and the road, the Broadway that goes into downtown. So all in all, this is absolutely fantastic. So just to give you an idea of what potentially we could do after this, is potentially build an extension here. Now this extension would go all the way up to Austin. Obviously there's another project being proposed in Austin that's going to link up the Gigafactory, downtown, and potentially, officially the airport as well. So that could then link up with this, which would make a lot of sense. However, if you want this to be a real money earner, and I think we all do, what you want to do is turn this into kind of a commuter station. So here's our below ground station. It does not need to be as deep as this. This was a very deep station. You could probably do half the depth of this. So you don't necessarily need to cap it off either. You could have it open. But this is kind of what it would look like in this area here, as it were. Potentially a bit longer than that actually. It would go here somewhere. If you're digging a large pit there anyway, you might as well make it slightly bigger. You know, the costs are going to be a bit more economical if you're just adding a little bit more on, maybe 10 to 15% bigger than what you thought you would need. Here's the airport. As you can see, it covers a very large area. There are other options for where you could put that station. I mean, there's some car parks in this area here, and I believe there's a car park here somewhere as well. And there is lots of land along here as well that potentially could be used. So there's plenty of options. But this line in blue, that's going to take us all the way up to Austin. This is our potential travelator here, which is just going to be one single tunnel, about 845 meters long. In terms of what I think would be a great idea in the future, so maybe in 2025, once you've built the San Antonio loop, and once you've built the Austin loop, and once you've proved that these systems are viable, and you have the 12 passenger autonomous electric vehicle, you then want to build a tunnel going up here to New Braunfels, and then maybe the following year extend it up to San Marco. These are relatively small towns. This has got about 90,000. San Marco has about 46,000 inhabitants. These are perfect commuter towns, so people could go from San Marco into San Antonio very, very quickly. I believe it's about 38 miles. So, you know, you're going to be doing that in under like 15, 14 minutes, something in that kind of ballpark, maybe less than that, maybe 12 minutes. So it's going to be quite easy to get in and get out from San Marco into these places. And it's going to be very straight because you can just follow the highway. And the same goes for New Braunfels, although mostly you'll be commuting into San Antonio. That'll only be like an 9-minute commute. If you can get up to the high speeds that we're predicting, around 115, 125 miles per hour, then you can connect it up to Austin. These will be in the long term. In terms of these projects, you're looking in and around the $5.5 to $6 million per mile, maybe slightly less than that, and then you could do a surface station in San Marco. I believe as well, this is an opportunity for building some housing in this area, maybe build some commercial premises as well. So you could take 600-700 acres in this place and then just develop it. Then you can have your station in the middle there. New Braunfels, I'd probably leave it as it is maybe, but I think San Marco has the space to kind of expand outwards, as it were, and it's in a very good location in terms of freeway access, and it's got lots of space there for potentially expanding outwards from any kind of Boeing company station. So that's the idea. Here are the reasons why I think it is a good idea. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Linking the airport to downtown is fairly straightforward. I mean, you're interacting with fairly minimal stakeholders, and the route itself is extremely straight and concise there. Route is straight enough to enable 115 mph running, possibly higher than that as well. Land is available for cutting corners and vent shafts. So there's lots of places where instead of having very sharp corners under 100 meters in radius, you know, you can cut that corner, make it 150, 200, 300 meters. There's plenty of stakeholders there you could talk to and reach out and make a deal with. And also areas where you can have your launch pits, and then you can convert those launch pits into vent shafts, or you can just have vent shafts in those areas and use them where you can extract the spoil, because you're probably going to need multiple TBMs for this job in San Antonio. At the minimum, you'd want 4 TBMs, possibly 6, maybe even 8 if you wanted to get it done in super quick time. The fact that the route has lots and lots of land alongside it is an absolute bonus, and the railway track is really excellent because it's so straight. 7.78 miles is possible in under 5.2 minutes in terms of your commute. You know, most people, if you have to go to the airport, you know, that's pretty damn good. And obviously, if your hotel is then downtown and you've been on a long flight, potentially an international flight, you know, you don't want to be messing around sitting in a taxi for 15, 20, 25 minutes, maybe longer, depending on traffic. So there's major benefits to this, and it definitely should get built. Adding a pedestrian tunnel will add value and increase throughput. Now, I'm sure some of you will want me to have put the actual station inside the airport area, but remember that is, you know, there's a lot going on in that area, and it's better to stick to the outsides. And the fact that there's that plot of land there, just in the right location, you know, why not take advantage of it if it is available? And it probably is available for the right price, and it's probably a good investment actually. So yeah, that's the kind of conclusions. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. Another thing that I'm going to make a prediction about is the San Antonio Loop will pay for itself in 4 to 6 years if they use $4 as the standard ticket price. I think that, you know, if you've got a 12-passenger vehicle and, you know, you're getting on average, you know, 6, 7, 8 passengers per vehicle, that will make an incredible gross margin, potentially close to 40-50% potentially. Especially if it gets very, very busy. So there you go. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider supporting me and this channel on Twitter, Discord, and of course Patreon. Please consider donating $2 per month and helping support this channel and improving the quality of the content. And my Patreons, thank you so much, all of you. Continue to support me. This is incredible stuff, and yeah, I'm forever thankful for all the support that you've offered me. Thank you very much. There's a new tier on Patreon as well. We're going to start a pictures page. Potentially you can put an inspirational quote as well if you want to do that. That's only going to be $7. So consider supporting me on that tier, please. Okay, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please comment on the video. If you like and subscribe to this video, it will recommend other videos that are similar, and therefore you can build up your knowledge on YouTube. Okay, well, thank you for joining me on this wonderful evening, and I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you learned something. Yeah, so I'll see you on the next one. And remember, guys, don't be boring. See you next time. Thank you for joining me, and goodbye. Thank you.
This is fun!